Greetings, YouTube. This video shall contain slurs. Please be warned. Literally 2 minutes ago, I stopped watching a video from someone in Ireland named Orla-Jo. Now, Orla tells me that the name Orla is very common in Ireland, but I've never heard it. She's the first Orla I've ever met, and I happen to particularly like the way she's changed the name by adding in the nickname of her middle name, so it's Orla-Jo. And that right there is a word I found entertaining and enjoyable to say. But this video is about words and slurs. It's a video response to Orla-Jo. And over the course of my life, I have encountered many slurs. I have been called many slurs. And I have, unfortunately, at parts and points in my life, used many slurs. Now, sometimes words can both be slurs and not slurs. For example, one of my favorite in that particular genre would be faggot. Now, faggot is a slur, and it can have horribly vicious connotations attached to it. But it can also be a cigarette, a fag. It can be a unit of wood. A faggot of wood is an actual unit of wood. And in the small central Pennsylvania town my parents come from, that region, faggot is also a form of sausage patty. Yes, a particular type of sausage patty. I can remember eating them as a child and thinking nothing of it when the people in the room I was with called them faggots. Now, that's an example of a word that can be both a slur and not a slur. But there are slurs in the world that don't have any other use other than slurs. They are intended to harm. And as Orla-Jo says, there's a difference between a swear word and a slur. The swear word is a generic term that can be offensive depending on what company you're in. The word damn, for example, can be a slur. It can be a swear word. It can also just be a general worse. He was damned. Okay, that's not a swear. But, damn, I hit my finger! That is a swear. But a slur, as she points out, is aimed to harm a specific person or group of people. It is meant to cause emotional pain. But when I was a kid, I was surrounded by racism and bigotry and slurs. So when I was a child, and I apologize to anyone who might be offended by this, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a nigger by the toe. That was something I said many times in absolute and utter ignorance. It was just a rhyme. I can remember saying, don't jap me on something. Because that's what you said. It was the term being used, even though Jap is a derogatory term towards people from Japan. I can remember the word kraut being used aimed at me because my last name is of German origin. And kraut is a derogatory name, slur aimed at German people. Slurs have power, and sometimes slurs are recovered. Queer is a good example. I have a friend that laments the use of the word queer as a slur because she happened to really love the word simply because she said, I know people who are queer, that's the perfect word to describe them, and now I can't use it. But there are people within the queer community that have reclaimed that word. We now have a queer community. It is not just a slur. I happen to like the word queer, both because it's useful within the LGBTQ community, and because it's a good word for describing something that's a little off. Queer is just a good word. It has a nice tone and sound. But I would never use it as a slur. I would never point my finger at someone and say, you're queer. That would be a slur, and I wouldn't do it. But I might look at them and say, do something very odd and say, you're a bit queer. Of course, they may not take it that way, but you could use that term as a word that isn't a slur. There are swear words that I won't use. There are swear words that I won't even say here on this video, even in a video about swear words and slurs, because I find them personally so offensive. You have heard me use the word, and I apologize for those of a delicate nature, fuck. Now, I don't swear often, But when I do swear, I tend to swear big because I save them. I don't use them at random. I don't sprinkle my speech with them. It's not just here on the videos that I don't swear. I generally don't swear in real life. And it took me quite a while to do that. And there's a reason I stopped swearing. Years ago, I used to swear, and I used the word Jesus Christ on a regular basis as a swear. Without thought. I was raised Catholic. Jesus Christ was a common swear. And a fellow gamer of mine, who knew at the time I was an atheist, said, "You're not a Christian, are you?" I said, No, I'm not. And I explained. I said, "Well, could you please not take my God's name in vain?" And I thought about it. And I said, you're right. I shouldn't take your God's name in vain. It's not my God. That is offensive, isn't it? So I stopped. And it took me a while. But I realized that if I could stop saying a word or a couple of words, I stopped using God as a swear word as well. I think I used it as an exclamation for a while, which is slightly different from a swear word. That's interesting, isn't it? The difference between an exclamation and a swear. But if I could get that mode of thought in my head for those words, I decided, well, I could stop using swear words. Because let's face it, the English language is huge. There are some million words in the English language. And if I can't think of better ones than that, then, maybe that's a comment on me now, isn't it? So I made an effort. And over time, I stopped using those words. And over time, I stopped using some of the slurs I knew as well, because I knew people that they would hurt. I knew black people. I knew gay people. I knew people that were from other ethnicities. So, the words you choose to use are important. The slurs you choose to use are important. Now, I've had people get upset with me because I have used certain things as words, and they have perceived them as slurs, even though I do not think they are slurs. For example, the word homosexual. I've used it. I've used the word heterosexual. Because for me, that's a scientifically clinical term. That's like saying penis, vagina, digit. It's just a term that describes a specific thing. In this case, a sexual orientation. But there have been people who are upset with me because I used the word homosexual. But I will not give up that word. It's a clinical term. To me, that's important. There was another one I had in my mind just a second ago, and now it's slipped right back out again. Well, if the price of getting older, our memories aren't what they were. But I want to ask my viewers, do you use slurs? Do you think that there are words that are slurs that other people don't think are slurs? Do you swear? Do you not swear in certain company? And if you can edit yourself like that, if you can say, okay, I'm not going to swear in front of my grandmother, but it's okay to swear in front of my friends, why? Why is it okay? Why do you edit yourself? How do you edit yourself? Because you're doing it. So if you could not swear in one particular situation, is there any reason you just don't swear at all? Or if you do swear in certain circumstances, why don't you swear more often? What is it about those words that captivate you? What about those words that give them greater power than other words? Because how we think about words is important. How we use them is important. And let's face it, sometimes we can create beautiful things with them. Sometimes we can cause a lot of pain.